Recently, I made a video delving into whether it's possible to beat Payday 2's hardest difficulty when given just 5 heists to prepare. Give it a watch if you hadn't had the chance already. It was actually a fun concept to play through, although it didn't fully scratch the itch of what I wanted to achieve. Spoilers if you've yet to watch, but I absolutely could conquer a moderately challenging Death Setence Heist in Crude Awakening after just 5 well thought out prep missions, even when starting as a fresh account from level 0. In total, this took roughly 5 hours to complete, proving that the curve up to loud death sentence isn't as bad as it might first appear, especially when you have the assistance of the always overpowered crew AI. However, I started with a fully complete perk deck, not only granting me bonus XP from the off, but also the utterly disgusting power of Hacker from the very first heist. I'd have honestly been more embarrassed if I had failed this one in hindsight, given those facts. So I've decided to up the ante. Instead of giving myself 5 heists to prepare, I want to do this as quickly as possible in terms of real time, to find out just how many real world minutes it takes to go from a fresh save to death sentence worthy using a few less than conventional means. No mods for quick perk decks or eking every last drop I could out of cook-off. This time, it's all about speed and finding ways to totally abuse Payday 2's many strange mechanics. Also, I'm extending my goal beyond the realms of Crude Awakening, planning to instead dominate one of the tougher challenges in the entire game, the White House, the initial conclusion for Payday 2, before Starbreeze remembered this game prints money the first time around. I know it's not Goat Sim or Lab Rats, but I'm still settling back into high difficulty Payday 2 again, and my reaction speed isn't getting any faster with age. Pouring out for the Payday vets who are now older than half the crew. And let's dive into the first heist of this speedrun challenge. The plan starts as you might expect. Once it finally appears on CrimeNet, seeing as I don't have the offshore funds to purchase it, not for the first time, we want to speedrun a Ukrainian job. On Overkill, this heist is an ideal starter, completable in under a minute from level 0, thanks to having access to shape charges, with effectively no risk here. Without a limit on heist quantity, this one is even better for us than in the last run. With that cleared, so long as we don't roll an escape, we have more than enough money after quitting out to purchase a repeat of this job for a few quick levels. Or they should be quick as long as RNG doesn't come to punish you with Titan safes, which can spawn on Overkill from time to time. While it's not uncommon, you don't expect this to occur 3 times on the spin, slowing me down early on. However, after clearing it on the 4th restart and spending those extra levels and a few stealth skills, it's time for Murky Station, which I'll get onto properly in a minute as I stumbled into a red tripwire on this attempt, meaning I was more than willing to give this run a reroll, as this was a slow start. Still, I think the strategy is solid, it's just the execution and a little cooperation from Lady Luck I'm missing. Resetting once again after a 5-minute wait for another Ukrainian job to show up, this was a breeze, remembering this time to grab my crew AI passives now whilst not on a timer. Speeding through this one without a hitch in just over 30 seconds, whilst the second run through I was able to actually purchase with offshore funds, the only heist in this entire run to get overpowered I'll be able to buy outright. I also got through without spotting any Titan safes, moving us onto the steady wait for another Murky Station. One thing to note is that thanks to Jack of all trades I actually secured a stealth bonus on this one, meaning 5% more XP on the coming heist. I think this made no tangible difference at all, but possibly bears mentioning. Anyway, this stealth-only heist is one of the few that can easily be cleared without any specific skills on the hardest difficulty from the get-go, making it the perfect candidate for a run such as this one, which wants to activate an early XP multiplier bonus for the stealth clear, whilst also earning a fair bit of individual XP on its own. You see, this one heist is really rewarding, assuming you grab all 4 of the break-in tools found around the map, even the ones not related to opening EMP-laden carriages. These still grant base XP, which gets hit by the post-heist multipliers like it's Balatro, to make this a substantial earner, expecting to hit level 38 of these 3 completions alone. As for the heist itself, not a lot to write home about. It's much easier if you can just remain out of sight, as the only real risk comes from detection chain reactions, given the long sight lines between trains and introduction of overhead drones. Especially down in the underground, unlike the remake in Payday 3, you always know where the 3 rotating guards will be, and there's fewer pesky civs hanging around. Even assuming you go out your way to open up all 4 carts, and run into the less than ideal RNG of the van escape, this is still a sub 5-minute heist that sets us up for the 4th and final prep mission of this race to conquer Death Sentence Loud as quickly as possible. After a lengthy wait in the menus, it's already time to take on a Loud heist on that difficulty, although you already know if you've been watching for a while, this one is a notorious cop-out. You see, although the cop spawns and health pools on Boiling Point are set for Death Sentence, they never went back to buff the Russian SWAT's damage, meaning we get to take on their admittedly more competent special roster, whilst tanking what's effectively their Death Wish arsenal's output. The heist has a number of things that still make it challenging though, ranging from its wide open tundra section that's a little anemic on cover, to its weirdly high frequency RNG dozer spawns, leading to moments with way more than the supposed cap out and swinging, as well as the miserable firing squad of snipers at the escape. That's why we already need to start abusing the most filthy strategies to warm that tundra up. More specifically, I'm wielding the Dragon's Breath Grim. This isn't quite as broken as it was prior to the fire damage changes, but it's still an incredibly consistent tool for dealing with most cops, stun locking everything bar dozers. As for my primary, this is mostly a budget option, with the Union Assault Rifle costing less than 50k and providing at least solid range potential alongside the ability to whittle down dozers. Finally, and most importantly for this build, we already have our full perk deck equipped. This is Stoic 2 of 9, skipping out on most of the deck's core abilities, which usually involves converting armor into a massive health pool with high resistances, and instead keeping your health and armor separate, allowing you to benefit from those resistances in the first perk, as well as the Stoic Flask, without fully committing to the alcoholic style. This has 3 core advantages over regular Stoic. 1, it preserves your health pool, which is mostly useful because you can sacrifice that health for a Berserker setup, allowing you to passively buff LMG damage, a traditionally difficult weapon type to attach multipliers to. Second, it replenishes to full as soon as it's given the chance to recharge, unlike your health pool, which needs to be supplemented by the likes of FAKs or hostage taker healing. And third, most important for this run, it only costs 600 perk points to unlock, meaning we have access to it almost from the get-go. Naturally, it has its drawbacks too, forcing us to use the ICTV to be most effective and not offering as much total tankiness in aggregate, so whilst it isn't the hidden gem for dominating DSOD I thought it might be 5 years ago, it's certainly a viable playstyle on the difficulty and probably ranks in the top half of the game's perk decks. As for the rest of the build, most skill points are necessities in going towards making this strange setup powerful, such as Bullseye and Iron Man Ace, but we also run medic bags, as FAKs aren't quite as key to the playstyle, give me far greater room for error down in the labs. In case you're wondering, the entire reason we're not taking on the White House immediately with my perk deck already effectively complete is that I'm still waiting for a few powerful weapon unlocks to really tie the build together. As you can tell, the boys and I are struggling to deal with higher health enemies. Crowd control is no issue, but with so many fixed spawn doses in our way and no method to really draw them out, I'm forced to just wander headlong into the danger, dropping all my healing supplies in the process. Bearing in mind this is the final prep heist and we want as much as possible out of it, we might as well complete all 4 patient scans down in the labs, mercifully prevented from having to face a ceiling turret by decent RNG, but then punished during the final charge at the escape with LMG dozers blocking my path. I eventually forced my way through, but you can already see where this deck struggles, as if you take any instance of damage or even suppression prior to your armor refilling after taking a sip of the flask, you're back to square one with an indefensible pool of health remaining. Still, I pushed on, unable to land a shot on the snipers covering the escape, given my Union's poor accuracy, something I probably should have considered earlier on, but thanks to some miracle heals and bullseye activations, somehow making it through this hail of bullets was a possibility, with the screen going as washed out as possible for a few tense seconds. With my armor back though, I can stumble over the finish line for a not so clean grey screen getaway. Pivotally though, in less than 40 minutes of prep, this was enough to hit level 50 and unlock everything I intend to bring on this next and final heist. First up, the build. Whilst in an ideal world we'd have Berserker and Frenzy to boost that damage and survivability as mentioned earlier, we simply don't have enough skill points to access that sort of setup, as we're better off using Jokers and Medic Bag skills to further improve survivability, coming at the cost of potency. Jokers are simply too powerful a distraction on higher difficulties to pass up, and this video wouldn't be about speedrunning a viable DSOD build if I passed up on it for the flashiness of Zerking. That means my freshly purchased KSP LMG, unlocked at level 45, won't be at its very best, but is still almost certainly the best primary at this build's disposal, with no chance of accessing crits, meaning the sort of meta SMG build I ran on the previous video is out of the question. As for my secondary of choice, I have a fair few options. The Compat 40 grenade launcher is decent for quickly racking up kills for Stoic Flask usages, The Commando 101 is quietly the best weapon in the game, unlocked at level 41, but would require me to run ammo instead of medic bags, which is too great a risk, meaning my best bet is to stick with the DB Grim, especially bearing in mind how insanely good it is at proccing Bullseye on cooldown, even if it can't deal functional headshot damage. More important than my own weapons though, the real MVPs, my totally overpowered crew AI, need access to their favourite toy. The Akron LMG unlocked at the key level 48 remains busted. The mug guys haven't gotten around to fixing it yet, if they ever will, allowing me to put a weapon in their hands that can shred even the 48k health pool of minigun dozers. With this in mind, I'm going to be the objective focus support for my gang of aimbotting cheaters, hence why I am more worried about survivability rather than DPS. I've not bothered using the free Continental coins I get on this account on any weapon attachments, although I have bought out the crew perks to make sure they're as lethal as possible. Sadly, I'm also at the mercy of being able to locate the White House on CrimeNet, which took far longer than I would have liked. Despite finishing up my prep in just over 39 minutes, we touched down in DC around the 47-minute mark. Still, plenty of time to make up on this one as Dragan and Duke defend one wirebox, and I attempt to defend the other alongside Chains. It's tough to really say how many shots I can take with this build, bearing in mind the confusing way Stoic works and my ability to increase that number by landing headshots whenever Bullseye's off cooldown. But it's certainly not enough to safely tank heavy SWAT damage, needing to be completely behind cover before I take a sip to ensure that 1.1 second reset takes place. Moving into the Oval Office section of this one, its corridor setting makes it fairly ideal for my crew to vacuum up anything that moves inside, and with the assets I bought providing me additional downs, I'm free to take a few risks to keep the drill going. Obviously the runbacks to the power switch are far from ideal, but I am starting to get a knack for the playstyle, diving in and out of cover and sprinkling in a few headshots to keep that armor ticking up against the damage over time effect. This is the steady rhythm I can fall into, an alcoholic flow state of sorts, until they start gassing the bloody president's office, forcing me out into the open again. Using up the final pre-placed medic bag charges left me playing extra safe for the final minute of the drill's timer, going down 2 more times before getting the safe open, but crucially, avoiding having to place a medic bag outside of the POC. Instead, just sprinting past the turrets covering the front side of the building and interrupting any mercs in the way with fire damage while slipping into the east wing. It's inside the POC where things get really crazy though. This claustrophobic space has 6 key spawn points, and with multiplayer difficulty scaling, that means a lot of units shuffling into the heist at one time, dropping me to grey screen and forcing the placement of my first medic bag in panic. Things only get worse though when the turrets pop out right as the power's switched off, meaning not only am I left to hide back up at the entrance, the one area where cops funnel and can't attack you from all angles, but I'm also making zero progress with the mainframe hack objective. Fortunately, the crew have more than enough firepower and tankiness to hold out here, although I was forced to drop my second doctor's bag of the heist, leaving me wide open if I can even make it out to the surface. In the moment between assault waves, I took a convert and made a death run over to the power box, and again to the mainframe, as moving this objective along is the only way I'm going to avoid a war of attrition. Stoic 2 of 9 is uniquely good at doing these death runs and sometimes comes out surprisingly unscathed. It's probably even better than regular Stoic at this, bearing in mind armor recharges to full immediately, unlike your usual health pool. It might even be the best option for this in the entire game, outside of probably Kingpin, which would require several thousand more perk points to max out, and isn't even accessible to most new players at this point, to pull off this objective-focused, slightly more passive strategy, allowing me to progress to hacks 2 and 3, with my jokers taking enough of the heat off the crew AI to avoid them getting shredded by the mounted turrets. At this point in the heist, I'm able to hold out downstairs by the first medic bag I dropped, making it much harder for the cops to interrupt, getting the vault open and stealing those juicy death sentence pardons before healing up for the final stand outside the White House. No longer can I rely on guzzling up resources, these are my final 3 downs. But again, with just one hack to defend, the crew don't even let the cops get close to it, dealing more than enough damage to make up for my cowardice as I poke my head out from time to time just to ensure they weren't tanking all the damage, finally disabling the anti-air guns and holding out for Locke's arrival, completing the heist after a 34-minute back and forth and a total of 19 downs. You can see why those medic bag points might seem necessary now. That being said, this was a fresh account going all the way to a major DSOD loud completion in just over an hour and 20 minutes of real world time. If we just looked at in-game time, that's 28 minutes and 46 seconds worth of prep, or a total of 1 hour, 2 minutes and 47 seconds from Naked Dallas all the way to conquering the White House. If you can call conquering hiding in a corner whilst getting hard carried by the ludicrously overpowered crew AI. Still, I had to put those guns in their hands, so I'm taking all the credit. In all seriousness, this was another just for fun run, although there are probably lessons to be learnt from this in terms of optimal infamy starts and a powerful hidden build if you weren't familiar with Stoic 2 of 9. Once again, I'm throwing down the gauntlet after Carrot managed to beat my Crude Awakening 5 heist challenge in both 1 and sort of 0 heists, although I feel like my rule set was getting slightly twisted on that second one. My challenge to you is to start from a blank slate and create a build you'd consider overpowered as quickly as possible, one that's worthy of beating a Loud DSOD heist in the sort of upper echelon of difficulty, just below that Lab Rats, Goat Sim, Bomb Forest Apex in under an hour. Speaking of Apexes, have you heard of their range of gaming PCs? We've been in partnership for years now, and you can still pick up one of my Payday range from their website, linked down below, next to the sub button. Rarely do I come up with a cheeky outro like that, so forgive me. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Take care, and I'll see you all very soon in the next video. A huge thank you to my dedicated Patreon backers. If you want to join this crew in going infamous, check out the link below and pledge as little as $2 to see your name in the credits, or get 24-hour early access to future videos and vote on upcoming content. Take care, I'll see you all soon.